Social media for real estate agents is changing fast, and what used to work a couple years ago does not work anymore. My team and I analyzed hundreds of top performing real estate content creators across every major platform. And in today's video, I'll break down the 7 social media trends that are going to be reshaping 2026. Now, the first trend is slop versus soul. So the trend number 1 is the most critical shift for 2026. And for years, we've been told that professional content, high production value, perfect shots, professional video crew, perfect lighting, scripted messaging, right? That is what you need to do on social media in order to get listings. Now, that era is over because we're entering an era where AI can generate perfect, polished video and text in seconds. And that is what I call AI slop. It's perfect, it's everywhere, and it's boring. Now, because the internet is drowning in the perfect AI content, imperfection has become a massive premium asset. So that is the concept called anti-fragile authenticity. So in a world of fake perfection where everybody around you is perfect, real you makes you being real you makes you unbreakable. So when you stumble on your word with the video, or you show a messy desk, or you film a tour on your iPhone with a bad lighting, right, you're signaling to other people that are watching your content that you're a real human. Now, analyzing the top real estate content creators, it clearly shows that the video shot on iPhone, just casually speaking or casually showing something, consistently outperform a professionally produced content. Now, you may be wondering why, right? Like, why is this the case? So the polished content where people are essentially perfect and the things you're showing are perfect triggers brain spam filters. So people are immediately seeing, hey, this is real estate marketing. They try to market, they're trying to sell me something. But your soul, which is your unique personality, your mistakes, your history, your background, your story, your specific point of views, they signal trust. So they signal humanity, right? So stop trying to compete with AI on perfection because you will lose. Instead, compete on humanity. Show the messy stuff, share the lost deals, be raw and real, because that is the only thing that AI cannot replicate. Now, the trend number 2 is shift from information and education to taste. So we used to say the more information the person has, the better. The more we educate the person, the more we educate the audience, the better. But here's the fact and here's the reality, right? AI nowadays, they can give them all the information and they can answer the questions that they have better than you probably can. So if they search for something, how do I buy a house in Dallas, Texas? They're probably going to get that information in better format than you can ever give them on a YouTube video or in any kind of social media post. So information nowadays is cheap. It's basically a commodity at this point, and taste is something that is expensive. It's something that is rare. So agents winning in 2026 on social media, they're not just teachers. They're not just giving information to people. They're curators. They're the taste makers. So don't just post market statistics or use the tool from your company that gives people the best spring selling tips. Curate the lifestyle, show your opinions, show your actual insights about what are the top places in the neighborhood or what are the top things happening right now in your area. And critique the area, critique the different things going on in your area, or critique the different things, let's say, in the real estate world. Things like interior designs, different areas, different types of houses. And that is ultimately what's going to build you as a top expert in the local area and give people something that ChatGPT cannot really get just by scraping the internet. So what do you love? What do you hate? What is your vibe? What do you resonate with? What do you don't resonate with? These are all the things that are going to be aligning with your taste. And what you want to be doing is consistently put your taste out there. And your taste is what's going to be cutting through that noise of information. It's really going to be something that kind of creates that cult following rather than just people maybe consuming some information. And people are going to hire you not because you know the most information or because you that provide the most information, because remember, information is commodity. So because of that, right, information is commodity. People are going to hire people that they trust. People are going to hire people who trade their judgment they actually trust. So what you want to be doing in your content is consistently just share that instead of just giving the information. So right now, if you're using any kind of information tool, right, that you post your content with, or you're just sharing raw information, stop doing that and shift it to this. Trend number 3 is hacking the local algorithm. So trend number 3 is the number one content opportunity for agents right now, and one of them is local property tours. But really, before we talk about that strategy, you need to understand why that strategy works, because the algorithm has completely changed from what it was a few years ago. A few years ago, social media used to be a social graph where showing your content was showing the content to people who follow you. Now, nowadays, it's more like an interest graph. And what that simply means is that instead of people that are following you, them seeing your content, people that are actually interested in your content that you're posting are the ones seeing it. So platforms like Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, they're incredibly good at knowing exactly who is actually interested in specific kinds of content. So let's say you post real estate content to a specific zip code, it's not only going to show it to your followers, but it's going to show the people that are actually interested in that zip code or an area. So what that means for you right now is that you don't need to get followers to get clients. And so right now, if you've been in a situation where, let's say you've had 100 followers or you never really use social media, and this is going to be really, really good news for you, the fact is you don't need those followers. And the bad news is if you do have a lot of followers, like you have 5,000 followers or 10,000 followers, it simply doesn't matter. So what the social media platforms optimize for nowadays is just how good the content is, how relevant it is, and who actually wants to see your content. Now, one of the best strategies to leverage this change right now are going to be property tours. And I'll explain this to you why. Now, the first piece to it is that it is the easiest content to make because you simply walk through a house and the house is the interesting part. So you don't need to be beautiful, you don't need to be a model, you don't need to have any of those things that maybe you before needed to be successful organically on social media. But right now, if you simply have a house, what the algorithm says to the people or says to itself really is that this is a house in whatever area. Let's say it's Austin, Texas, right? Now then it takes that video and it finds people that are looking for homes in Austin, Texas, let's say, and then it puts right in front of them. And so that is what we call hacking the local algorithm. So you record content locally and the algorithm finds your local buyers for you. Let's say that was a house. Now, once you record that one property tour video, so you have the raw materials, you can now use the content waterfall method. So first of all, we have the raw footage itself, and we obviously have the short form platforms where we can leverage the content. So we can use Instagram, we can use TikTok, we can use YouTube Shorts. So for that specifically, we're going to use vertical short form video, and then we're going to put it on those platforms. Now, of course, we're going to have also images and other content from the properties. So we're going to use now to make a carousel post for your Facebook feed, LinkedIn feed, and Instagram feed as well. So you really you go to the property physically only one time, but you can now use the same content, use the same property multiple times to hack the local algorithm on every single one of these platforms. So for this strategy, property tours are one of the easiest examples you can leverage for hacking the local algorithm. However, you can also use many other kinds of local content. As an example, one of our clients, she's in Hoboken, New Jersey. She posts the local atmosphere, local vibes, local areas, right? And she posts a lot of content locally that gets thousands and sometimes even tens of thousands of views. And now she's hacking the local algorithm. So really that's just one of the examples, but what you want to be doing is just consistently dominating the local area, because remember, anytime you make a post, if it is local, it's going to show it to the local people. Now, trend number 4 is something a lot of agents don't want to hear. So paid social media is no longer optional. It's not something you can just kind of think about or not do at all, or just boost a couple posts here and there. So with organic reach going down on every single platform and competition becoming more fierce and fierce every single year, the real estate agents that master and know how to use paid social media are always getting more and bigger advantage. And let's face it, for an average real estate agent, organic reach is effectively dead unless they're really good at making content. Even TikTok is increasingly more pay to pay. So if you're not running advertisements, you're really invisible for large population of your area, and also you're not taking advantage of the immediate opportunities those local homeowners are consistently providing. So here's the reality and mindset shift you have to make as a realtor in 2026. Paid social media, paying for social media ads is no longer an option. It's no longer something you can kind of think about or maybe do a little bit here and there. It's something you have to become professional and have to become a master at. It is the same as having a phone bill or having a health insurance. That's just something that we need to pay for in order to be able to do the business and feel safe. So doing social media and running social media advertisements, you have to be willing and master the whole process. And when I say this, I don't mean just throwing an ad here and there or just boosting some posts here and here. I mean building a systematic process for running your social media ads, being able to nurture a database and stay in front of them with relevant, fresh content in order to build your pipelines. So the real estate agents that are completely ignoring this, and let's say they're buying leads from Zillow and they're just spending money there, but they're ignoring social media side completely to nurture leads, show them relevant content, build trust, they're going to be losing more and more every single year. And in 2026, this is becoming more and more bigger because the organic reach is dying down more and more. So mastering that and being willing to spend money on that is something that is going to be super key during this year. So at the end of this video, I'm going to link you a full Facebook course tutorial you can go ahead and watch. It's over 1 hour full in-depth tutorial about how to actually run Facebook ads in 2026. So after this video, you can go ahead and click on that one. Trend number 5 is the most crucial for your business survival, and that means owning your audience. So we talked a lot about on-platform activities you could be doing to get people to come to you and ask you for your help, and that is all definitely still true. That is the most important part. But the algorithms, they hate you when you try to link away from the app. And that's the hard part. If you try to get people to go to your website or you try to get people to, let's say, schedule a call, it is very difficult, and they're going to lower your reach if you do that. So they do want to keep you on Instagram. They want to keep you on TikTok for sure. So here's the danger though. So if you leave your audience only on these platforms, you are just renting eyeballs from Zuckerberg or from Musk. And if they decide to change the algorithm, or sometimes they don't like if you post something and they decide to shadow ban you, which means limiting your reach, well, your business can completely disappear. So really the way to win and make sure your business is safe, so you have that sort of like an insurance, is to use the hybrid model. So you have to optimize for really the engagement, of course, on these platforms. You want to be basically doing what these social media platforms want us to do, which is provide them with high quality platform, make sure people are enjoying your content, they're finding it valuable, but then also use that engagement to capture data that you actually own. And so what I mean by that is, for a lot of realtors, right, they don't have any sort of data capturing mechanism. They only use these platforms to never really think about that. But what you want to be doing consistently over time is, as you're building your social media reach, as you're building your YouTube channels, you're building your Instagram channels, so use that engagement to capture the data that you will then own. Now at this point you may be wondering, well, how do you actually do this? Well, let's say you're using Instagram. So instead of saying link in the bio, say comment the word home and I'll DM you the details. So that way we're really playing by the rules of Instagram, right? We're not doing anything that they don't want us to do, which is to go to another website, but we now get people to DM us that are interested. Now, as people send you the direct message, when they leave that comment, you're gonna have an automated AI bot to start the conversation. Now, as they go through that conversation loop, inside that DM, they're going to ask for their email to send them a full resource. So that resource could be, as an example, a full listing PDF. It could be a list of homes, could be a property value, whatever the lead magnitude we're using was. Now that we have their email, we now have the data. So now we can use that data to later reach out to them. We can send them messages. We can use them in our retargeting campaign on virtually any platform we want to leverage. So you are now effectively the owner of that data. But before, when they're only following you on social media, you did not have that data. So now you're both secure, and now we can actually do some other marketing to actually convert them. So we are playing both the algorithms game, so the Instagrams or whatever platform you're using game, right? Which is what they want. They want high engagement. They want people to stay on their platform, but you're also extracting the asset that actually matters, their information, the data. And this is the game that big companies are playing, right? That's why they want to have a lot of people there. They want to have a lot of people engaging. That's how they make money, is that they own the data. Now, if you don't own the data, right, you're only reliant on advertisements, or you're only reliant on just posting content, right, you're not owning a business, you don't have the data. So that's why it's super key that as you grow it, as you get people to see you, make sure you own the data and make sure you extract the data. That is the true goal of social media. Now, trend number 6 is going to be agentic AI workflows. So trend number 6 is technology that really makes all of this possible, which is agentic AI workflows. With agentic AI workflows, most real estate agents, when they think about it, they're thinking about AI the way they usually use it, which is kind of like using it like a chatbot, right? You type in a prompt, you type in something to ChatGPT, and it gives you an answer. Now, it's a little bit like brain in a jar, right? It's smart for sure, but it can't do everything. So agentic AI gives you that brain's hands, and it gives you actually ways to actually use that to do something for you. So the chatbot, it can't do anything for you, but if you have an agent, it's going to be a system that actually runs by itself autonomously. So it doesn't answer just questions, right? It goes out there and execute tasks while you sleep. And this is a little bit like having a free virtual assistant or a free 10 virtual assistants. So here are two top examples of the way this will change your life. So example number 1 is the content creator. So imagine a real estate agent that works the following way. They wake up at 6 o'clock, they scan all the real estate news from the last 7 days, they find all the viral angles that there are for social media, and they're emailing those to you that are going to be ready to record, right? Imagine having a real estate agent like that working in your team. And then they create you a real estate script, a short form radio script that matches your exact tone. You just hit the record and you're ready to go. Well, that's what an agentic AI workflow can do. So you no longer need to have the person on your team. You no longer need to pay the girl from university $5,000 a month to work for you, and no longer need to have the virtual assistant from Philippines for $1,000 a month. It's all possible to do purely through AI and virtually for a very, very free or small cost. Now, example number 2 is the Axis Solver. So a lot of you are probably thinking at this point that I went over a property tour strategy. Well, I don't have any listings to record the property tours in, right? So how do you actually record a property tours, right? That's a very, very simple and easy example. So agentic AI solves that. Now actually you can build a workflow that's going to scrape Zillow for listings in your area that have been, say, sitting on the market for longer than 60 days. Then the AI, what it's going to do for you is going to identify the listing agents in those listings. And then number 3, it's going to automatically write a personalized email saying something like, hey, I saw your listing at 123 Main Street that has been on the market for blah, blah, blah. And I'd love to come and film content tour about it to get it some fresh exposure on my social media channels. Totally free. I just want to help you get it sold. Now, even that script, it can write for you. Now, it then can also send those emails for you automatically. So you're not doing anything. You can sleep and wake up from 3 responses from agents saying, yes, please come record. So that is all examples that agentic AI flow can do. And that is the power of giving the brain hands. It solves the problem of, well, I don't have the time, or I don't have the access to the properties. So maybe 2 or 3 years ago, this was a massive problem for real estate agents where a lot of people were saying, I don't have the time for social media. I don't want to spend time on social media. Well, nowadays, you literally don't have to do anything. You can get AI to write the scripts for you. You can get AI to find the research about the ideas about the content. And basically all you need to do at this point, if you know how to do the agentic workflow, is simply relax, press record, and record the content to be personable. So the way this is different nowadays is maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, if you had a virtual assistant, you would actually have a huge edge over other real estate agents, right? Because the virtual assistant would send your emails, answer your social media messages, they would maybe make some of your social media content, write it out for you, right? They would do a lot of those manual tasks. However, nowadays it's shifted a little bit the other way around, where if you are still paying for a virtual assistant, let's say you're spending $500,000 a month for a VA in Philippines, whereas the other agent, your competitor, they're knowing how to use these virtual agents, right? They're knowing how to use AI agents. Well, they can have 10 virtual agents or 100 virtual agents working for them, whereas you have only one human, right, that still needs to sleep, still is on a different time zone, right? There's still a lot of skills that they don't know, whereas the virtual agents, right, they have all those skills, they have all the data, they can write perfect English, like all of that is on a completely different level. So what you need to do right now is, if you're still stuck in what worked a couple years ago, right, definitely stop doing that. Learn how to invest into using these virtual AI agents and learn how to do this. Because while this sounds very advanced, it sounds very complicated, it's definitely a skill, it's a process you can easily set up to your business as long as you make sure you do those investments. So do this sooner than later. And at this point, you may be wondering, well, didn't you just say, right? We don't want AI slop. We want to have the real stuff. We want to have the personality. We want to be the tastemaker. And so this kind of brings me to the trend number 7, which is the human AI balance. So let me bring this all together for you here, which is in the trend number 7. And right now, we're at this point where AI is very, very advanced, right? We're able to use the AI agents, we're able to do a lot of those things through AI. And what it means for you is that it can do a lot of the work that used to take dozens and dozens of hours, it took thousands of dollars, right? It can do a lot of that work for virtually no cost. Here's the caveat to it though, right? Whereas most agents, they make that mistake. They think that, okay, now I have this AI, it will do everything for me, right? Or some agents think that, no, I never use AI, I'm a person, right? I never use anything for it, right? So they try to just do everything themselves without any AI. And the truth is, it's kind of like in the middle. So what you want to be doing is you want to be leveraging AI in almost virtually every single task. That doesn't matter if you do it or not, right? Let's say we look at the scripting for your YouTube videos or for your Instagram videos. Like, that is something that AI will probably do a better job at than you, right? The caveat to it though is, like, if we only use AI and we just go to ChatGPT and we write something and we get the script, it's not going to be very good, right? So we still need to train the AI to actually use your voice, and then we still need to look at the script or whatever the AI is creating and add our own little personality to it, add our own little detail to it, add our own little insight to it. And so what we're looking at 2026 and the future years to come is that integration between you as a person and then using AI as a tool. So not using AI as the sole entity of you, but also not neglecting AI totally, where you don't use it at all. So you want to be using AI for the work that does not require you, which means brainstorming, drafting. You want to be using it certainly for analyzing the data, and then also making your content. So writing scripts, making sure you're doing all those different things as well. So while you're doing that, show up personally for what matters. So be the face on the camera, share your real opinions, record the content locally, right, where AI can simply access, and tell your actual stories, the real things that are happening. So the way the AI works, right, is that it's scraping the internet for data. It's scraping the internet for information, right? Whereas you have access to information that's happening real time, that's happening in places where that's just not on the web, right? So you have that edge and you bring that to AI and you can use them both together. So if you nail this balance, it's very, very nuanced. You're gonna get a massive benefit. You're going to get best of the both worlds, which is efficiency, scale of AI, the workload AI can do, but then also that human aspects, the things that only humans can create. And now that you have all of these pieces together, what you're effectively doing is you're dominating the local headspace. You're showing the local homeowners, you're showing the local home buyers the massive value that you bring. You're showing them obviously how you can use AI. And it seems like you're a wizard, right? Because you're putting out all this content, you're doing all this marketing, you're showing all this data, while in the meanwhile, right, you're just somebody that leverages these tools while you're massively building your personal brand. So thousands of local homeowners see you over and over again, and ultimately see you as that number one go-to choice for a realtor.